Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Today we are going to start a second soliloquy of Hamlet, and we are going to consider first 8 lines of this soliloquy because we are short of time. Therefore, we want to cover all 7 soliloquy uh, in short way, in brief way. So the situation is basically it is Act 2 and Scene 2. Hamlet has just watched the first player deliver a deeply emotional speech about the suffering of Hecuba, the queen of Troy. All the story is fictional. The actor becomes so emotionally involved that he cries and shows visible grief. After the performance, Hamlet is left alone. Instead of focusing on his revenge for his father's murder, he turns inward and begins criticizing himself for his inaction. This soliloquy is a turning point where Hamlet compares fictional emotion versus real responsibility. He becomes aware of his own delay in revenge. He begins in he begins a process of self-accusation and psychological conflict. So now let's talk about these 8 lines one by one, and then we'll explain them too. Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I! Hamlet immediately insults himself, accuses himself. He calls himself rogue and a peasant slave. It means that he's dishonest, he's worthless person, he's low, he's powerless, he is an inferior human being. Hamlet feels ashamed because an actor can show deep emotion for fiction, but he, Hamlet himself, cannot act for a real injustice, that is, his father's murder. So, if we see him emotionally, how emotionally he's feeling, he has self hatred. He's hating himself. He has frustration. He's frustrated for not doing or not taking an action. And he's feeling himself morally ashamed for not taking revenge of his father. Second line is it is not monstrous that his player here. Hamlet expresses shock at the actor's performance. Monstrous means here astonishing, unnatural, beyond expectation, and player is obviously actor. He finds it unbelievable that an actor can feel such emotion for something imaginary, for something that is not real. And how is it that a person, Hamlet, is not able to do anything for something that is real? And real is his father's murder. So Hamlet begins comparing actor's emotional power versus his own emotional paralysis. Line 3 is but in a fiction, in a dream of passion. The actor is moved by a fictional story, a dream, something that is unreal. It means that the emotions come from something that does not exist in reality. It is just an imagination. So, actor reacts strongly to fiction, whereas Hamlet fails to act in reality. That is very, very strong contrast we can find in this line that Hamlet himself is drawing. Could force his soul so to his own conceit. The actor can control his imagination so deeply that his soul becomes fully involved in the imagined situation. Conceit means imagination or mental idea. Imagination becomes powerful enough to create real emotion. Shakespeare suggests here that human imagination can turn illusion into emotional reality. That's very important. So let's move to the next line. And it is that from her working all his visage waned. The actor's emotions affect his physical appearance. We're talking about his physical appearance, how he looks from outside. Visage is face. Waned mean become, it became pale. The color of his face changed. Inner emotion changes outer appearance. This line shows what you are feeling inside. It always comes outside on your face. So here, emotional intensity becomes visible. Body is reflecting soul. What you are feeling inside, your body is showing outside. Tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect. The actor shows tears, that is emotional breakdown, and then a distracted expression, that is mental disturbance. It means that his grief looks completely real. It does not look like as if he's acting. So Hamlet sees here the perfect unity between feeling and expression in the actor. Perfect alignment, perfect synchronization. A broken voice and his whole function suiting. It is the next line. The actor's voice breaks with emotion. Entire body performance matches the emotion. Physical actions and performance is marvelous, is so real. It means every part of the actor works together to show grief. All body parts are synchronized. So the actor becomes fully the character he is playing. He is involved in it. He's feeling that character. He's absorbed in it. Last line, with forms to his conceit and all for nothing. The actor perfectly matches his expressions, that is his form, and he perfectly matches his imagination, that is his conceit. This is all for a fictional story. The actor shows real emotion for something unreal. So Hamlet realizes something here, and that is fiction produces real emotion while reality produces no action in him. That's why he's criticizing himself, because He's criticizing himself that he is unable to show his real emotions. He's unable to show certain action on the real situation that he is involved in, the murder of his father, whereas the actor who has nothing, no connection in reality, how perfectly performing that character. Now talks about technique. First one is self-address, dramatic monologue technique, where it appears, "O what? A rogue and peasant slave am I." Hamlet speaks to himself, not to any other character. This is a dramatic monologue, which we call soliloquy, where the character reveals inner thoughts directly to the audience. It creates psychological depth. Audience enters Hamlet's mind, and we see raw emotion without social flirting. Social filtering, not flirting. Beg your pardon. Shakespeare uses soliloquy to expose inner conflict versus outer silence. How there is a tempest in inside yours, but a complete, utter, sheer silence outside. Hamlet appears inactive externally, but is extremely active internally. Second one is exclamatory language, that is emotional overflow. "Oh, what a rogue and peasant slave am I." Here we find repetition. Oh, show. These explanations basically show uncontrolled emotional pressure. This exclamatory language also shows mental breakdown and frustration. They add intensity and urgency, and they reflect instability of thought. Hamlet's thinking is not calm reasoning. It is emotional reasoning under pressure. He is under pressure, showing how thought overwhelms action. Next one is rhetorical questioning. Is it not monstrous that this player here? Hamlet asks questions without expecting answers. So this rhetorical questioning shows inner debate. Something is going on inside. It reflects confusion and self-interrogation. It slows down emotional reasoning. Rhetorical questions show Hamlet's tragic flaw. And what is it? He turns action into analysis. He keeps analyzing. Where action is required, he starts analysis. That delays decision making. This indecisiveness is his hamartia. Fourth one is meta theater, that is play within play awareness. So Hamlet reflects on acting while inside a play that makes the scene self-aware of theater. This player here, then he says, in a fiction, in a dream of passion, right? All these reflect meta theater. How it affects audience becomes aware of performance and nature of life, and it blurs boundary between reality and illusion. We cannot find whether it is real or whether it is elusive, whether it is imaginative. Shakespeare suggests it life itself may function like theater. It is just like a stage. Emotions can be performed rather than naturally lived. Then we have contrast technique, that is core structural device used here. Actor and Hamlet both are in contrast, in comparison. Actor is showing his emotions with intensity. where Hamlet's emotions are paralyzed. He is having emotional paralysis. Strong emotion is created between fictional suffering that is related to Hecuba and real suffering that is Hamlet's father. Hamlet's father's murder by his own uncle, by his own brother. So that contrast highlights Hamlet's failure because he's unable to perform, he's unable to take decision rightly on time. It intensifies self-condemnation. He's condemning himself. And it also creates dramatic irony. This contrast is the engine of the soliloquy. Hamlet is emotionally defeated not by his enemies, but by himself, but by himself, that is by comparison. He's being defeated. His being inactive is the cause of his defeat here. Then visual and sensory imagery, tears in his eyes, distraction in his aspect, and visage waned. All these reflect visual and sensory images. Shakespeare uses visual imagery to make emotion physically visible. Audience can see grief. Emotional states become bodily states. That is the beauty of the writer. Mastery of his pen. So it enhances a realism of performance. Inner emotions are externalized. Shakespeare shows that human feeling is not abstract, but it is physically expressed. We can see it. Number 7 is listing, that is accumulative technique. See, tears, distraction, broken voice, function suiting, all these are listing. A sequence of emotional signs, all of them are showing emotions in different ways. So the sequence of emotional signs is built step by step. So that listing intensifies emotional buildup. It shows completeness of actor's performance. It creates rhythm and pressure. Hamlet admires the total emotional unity of the actor. Body, voice, and mind, all of them are aligned. They are synchronized. They are harmonious. They are in harmony. Eighth one is irony, that is deep dramatic irony. When he says, and all for nothing, and then exclamation mark is also there. The actor shows extreme emotion for something that is not real, while Hamlet ignores something real, that is murder of his father. So, how it creates an effect? It exposes Hamlet's inaction, getting involved in thoughts, no, not able to take any action. It creates tragic irony, and it highlights absurd imbalance. Shakespeare reverses expectations, and that is fiction generates action, whereas reality generates paralysis. In drama, within drama, we find real action, but the real story, where the situation where the real action is needed, there we find paralysis. Now, themes. Action versus inaction is the central theme of this play that is also found here. This is where actor and Hamlet, actor is acting emotionally and Hamlet is thinking but is not acting, is not doing any action. Hamlet is not he's not incapable of feeling. He has feelings, he has emotions, but he is incapable of converting feeling into action. That is his problem. It is not that he is feelingless. He has feelings, but he's not converting them into action. That is the main theme. Shakespeare presents a tragic condition. And what is it? That awareness does not guarantee action. Hamlet is aware of what's going on, but that awareness is not ensuring that he will do certain action. Then second theme is self-doubt and psychological conflict. Hamlet immediately insults himself, rogue and peasant slave. He calls himself, he's rebuking himself, he's insulting himself. He's not feeling good about himself. So he becomes his own judge, his own critique, and his own executioner mentally. Hamlet's mind is divided. One part demands revenge, and the other part questions everything, keeps questioning everything, morality and everything. So, this comparison, this division of his mind creates paralysis. He's unable to do anything. Then appearance versus reality. Actors' fake situation produces real emotion. Reality becomes less powerful, but illusion becomes powerful, strong. Shakespeare suggests that emotional truth may not depend on factual truth. Then, power of art and imagination is the fourth theme. Actor's imagination produces physical reaction. He's having tears in his eyes, his face is pale. Even his voice changes because of his strong emotions. So it means that imagination, this theme tells us that imagination can transform human emotion into reality. All right? And if you see it critically, their theater is not fake. Reality is that theater is not fake. It produces real psychological effects from invented situations. Then next one is human emotion and sensitivity. The actor shows full emotional responsiveness. Hamlet sees emotional authenticity outside himself. Emotion becomes a measure of humanity. Hamlet feels less human compared to the actor because he's unable to show his emotions. He's not able to turn his emotions into action. Then identity and self-perception. Hamlet defines himself as weak, slave-like, worthless. His identity is unstable and self-destructive. Identity in this soliloquy is not fixed. It is shaped by comparison and failure. Seventh one is theater as a reflection of life. The last one. Theater reflects life, real life. Acting basically mirrors real emotional experience. Life itself appears performative. Shakespeare blurs boundaries between life and emotion. That real life is in real life he's not showing any action, but in role play there are strong emotions shown. Action is shown. We can feel it, we can see it. And real life is basically presented in theater. And it makes the things real, even they are based on imagination. So let me critically analyze these 8 lines. Uh, Hamlet, this soliloquy basically marks a crucial psychological turning point in the play, where external conflict is transformed into intense internal self-criticism. After witnessing the first player's emotionally powerful performance, Hamlet is struck by the contrast between the actor's ability to feel deeply for a fictional character and his own inability to act upon a real moral duty, that is, the revenge for his father's murder. This comparison leads him to harshly condemn himself as a rogue and peasant slave. It reveals that his greatest struggle is not with Claudius but with his own mind. His own mind is his enemy. Shakespeare presents Hamlet as a thinker trapped within excessive reflection, where intelligence becomes a barrier to decisive action. Overthinking is the problem here. This soliloquy also highlights Shakespeare's exploration of the relationship between appearance, emotion, and reality. The actor's tears, broken voice, and physical expressions create convincing emotion for an imaginary situation that suggests that imagination can generate human feeling. Even you see that Hamlet's real grief produces no immediate action. It exposes a disturbing mind, right? So he keeps thinking. He does not do anything, right? And if we see that he is the person who is only thinking, overthinking makes you a person who's indecisive, a person who cannot take any actions. So here we stop it. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Thank you for watching.